Today we're going to work by creating an architectural column, almost a more flat style of column. And let's go ahead, we can create this and add it to our work of architecture. I am in the book Exploring Autodesk Revit 2024, and I am on page 10-52, looking at tutorial number 2, which is an expected time of 50 minutes. It's the architectural column. It looks like this. And we have some things that we need to pick up, which is the generic model uh, as part of the template. And we're going to assign a name to it, but and our minimum floor height is 10. When you open it up, it'll already be set. And you can pick that up from the assignment in the module for this file. Our goal is to create this column so that we can add it to the club. Here we see nicely positioned the opening entrance to the club. The following steps are required for this tutorial. You're going to open a new family with that file. You're going to create reference planes using the reference planes tools. You're going to create the architectural column using the forms tool. And we're going to cut geometry based on a plan using a form tool. We're going to modify the column by assigning material, which will give it we'll use marble today, and we will download and open the project file. And finally, we will have a column and we very good, solid project for today. Now, opening up the file, we get to see that we have a reference level line at 0, 0. We have a center datum reference plane. It's already been applied. In the book, you're supposed to enter your own, but I provided you with at least this crosshair reference so you can begin. And we're going to be using a reference plane. We have to create them first. We'll check out in the book to see the measurements that we're going to make. In the tutorial, we scroll down and we can see that we're opening up our project browser. And here are the first measurement. We're going to do 8. And we're going to continue until we get all of these planes in place. And it's going to be 8, 6 inches, 6 inches. Then we're going to take a 9-foot upper move and then finish out with the capital of this particular model. So let's go back and begin. I'm going to use an ordinary model line because it's pretty dependable for me, so I can lay out these small measurements. We're going to go up, and the first measurement we want to hit is that 8-inch base, 8-inch, and then escape. I will go ahead and start to place a level, so I'm going to do create the reference plane. Much like setting levels. And so we're going to come in again. We're going to make another one. I'm going to use escape from this, and then I'm going to set out my next position, which is 6-inch and 6-inch. And then go ahead and reach for my going into create and take another reference plane, begin to draw that out to match. Escape. So we have 2 at 6 and then one more. Let's go ahead and add a regular line. Add another reference plane. We're going to go create. And if you need to see the whole picture, you can always right click and you can go zoom to fit. And that gets you out a little bit faster. Let's add this one based on the others. Escape. Uh, and then let's go ahead and add our 9 feet in. Add one more reference plane. Create. Reference plane. There's that 9-foot topper. I'm going to send it out somewhere equal. And you also see you have an opportunity to name something. Let's just take advantage of that. You can put this capital. This will help you if you give it a quick name to know what these lines refer to, and that's a helpful hint. I've gone ahead and added the remaining three all the way up to the top of column. I'm going to right click, zoom to fit, and see what the result is. Okay, so I do have a good set. I'll refer to the direction from the book to make sure that I'm compatible with these. These are lines drawn in. I'm going to erase these later. And now I'm going to work off of the center line. I'm working off this figure 1090, which shows I'm going to have off of the center, I'm going to have 6 inches, 6 inches, 2 inches, looks like 4 inches. And these are much smaller in the book. So the first use of the magnifying glass. I'm using my regular lines like I did earlier, and I'm going to add the plane now. I'm going to create a reference plane from that. I suppose there are a few ways of doing this. You could lay this out all at once, these helper guides, or you can just continue methodically, and I'm doing it this way because we are beginners. So I'll just create and keep going 6, 6, and remember my dimensions right on the money. Escape, hop over to create. And once you get into your rhythm of doing this, then you can say, make fast work of it. The only way you can really achieve a good flow is to work fast because there are many little parts to add. There, I've worked in the four of them and 4 additional lines, and now I need to go to the other side of the column and do the same. Still working in it, and I'm adding in my last line. I suppose you could technically be able to mirror this. I didn't get it to work for me. Okay, I've zoomed to fit. I kind of see that it looks like the image in the book. I'm going to delete some of the helper lines. Oops, not that grab. We'll do our left to right so we don't capture everything. And now I need to go in and start carving out what actually is my extrusion. So let's look at the book. So the whole purpose of making these grid lines is to give me something to aim at when I start doing my carving. And the first thing I'm really going to be working with is about 3 rectangles. Here's the first big one, that's the body of the column. And then we're going to come down and create the base point. We're going to create the base, do it in little pieces, and then start extruding these. So let's see how we do that. Okay, so I made just a conventional create with the model line just so I can give myself and make sure I pick the proper coordinates. What it comes down to is you are in the back elevation and you are starting to make this particular count where you're going to lay this column. And looking at the image, it looks like it's over the bigger part and past the 2-inch mark. Likewise on the other end to the bottom. Now I'm going to add my extrusion. I'm going to pick extrusion, and I'm going to pick the rectangle that's going to be extrusion. I have my guideline that I put in that really helps me out. It makes it a little bit easier, just like we did the stairs. And I'm going to accept it. And then I'm going to go per the instructions. I have to change this to a 7'10". Yeah, I only recently found this little apply button. Sometimes I just double click and it works, but we'll go by the book. So we have apply, and the 10-inch, the 7 feet and the 10 feet, this part is already in there. So we're good with that. And we can start to take a look at this. Sometimes I will introduce my shading tool and to let myself know that I've got it. Okay. And if I also look in 3D view, let's take a look at the 3D view. Good. It shows something is happening. Here's my temporary guidelines. I'm going to erase this, but my true extrusion has happened. I'm going to go back into back view. So I have it. I won't have to save the project. And no matter how careful you are, you may have missed it. So I missed the exact one. So I'm going to try and pull this down to this next. I use the nudge tool to get as far as I can. That's the downward arrow. And then I'm going to add in my next extrusion. I'm going to do an extrusion. I can kind of see this a little bit better now. So let's, oops, we want to do this. So rectangle. And then we are happy with that. We're going to set those coordinates. Everything must match. So 7, 8, 10. Okay, so we have that 7, 10. We did our apply. And now let's get clear out of that. Go and make one more. We're going to choose our create, extrusion, and finally the base. 7, 10. Apply. And I've looked at the measurements on the top and done the same extrusion process. And I'm going to go to my zoom to fit, see what I have, go take a look in 3D, see how far I got. And that's looking pretty good. I do have a buried element in here as an accident, but I'm going to leave it for now. And then we're going to try shaded, and we'll try and see the consistent colors, and pretty good. So if I can remove this part, I'll have something, but I don't want to mess with it now. Let's go to our elevation and go back to the back so we have a flat 2D, and we're going to start to carve out and make the indentations. The directions for creating the crown, and then we're going to pay attention to the void forms off the extrusion tool, void extrusion, and we're going to hit these numbers when we start out and remember our reference planes. So if we wanted to use that name tool, we could have named them. And then we're going to go up 1 inch, and then we're going to make a 2 inch gap. And with that, we're going to create you could use a rectangle tool, but we're going to use a line tool so that you create one full area that you can create a void with. Okay, let's try and go for this. Create void form, void extrusion, and we're going to use the line tool, and we're going to accept it or decline it. See if we can make it. Make sure this chain is on, which was the default. 2 inches. It's going to carry up to 9 feet. Right click, zoom to fit, zoom back in. We know it's 2 inches over, and then 9 feet down, which we can zoom to fit down there and connect. We have enclosed void form. We're going to accept it. I've come up here and I've used the nudge tool to align this extrusion and get it back in alignment. I want it in the center. Okay, time for the big reveal. Zoom to fit. Let's do our 3D. Oops, to view one. Look, I think we got it. Then we're going to apply some shading. I like that. Okay, so now we have a nice model that well we can start to work on, and the next step for us would be to add the materials to it, and then I will clean up some of my forms, take one last look at our view, and see what do we have in the rendering right now. Realistic. Okay, so very good. So we'll hold together, and then we will see you next at adding materials.